Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I'll be going over a handful of locations that are perfect to take over if you're playing with friends and you're looking for a nice base. Just one quick point before we go in. I think some newer players might be a little confused as to how the locations work. I'll be giving a location coordinate for each of the entries. I'll put it up there somewhere, and the name of the map will go down here somewhere. That doesn't mean that that is the only place you'll find it. It's just relevant to that particular map. If you're playing on random gen or any of the other pre-gens, the chances are that POI will be there. It'll just be in a different location. Now, let's jump straight in. First up is Perishton Tunnel. I'll be putting up the coordinates and stuff and all the details on the screen as we go through. But this is located in the town of Perishton, or towards the northern side of Perishton, meaning that you are very close to lots of valuable loot. You're also pretty close to Trader Hugh, who, if I open up the map, he just lives there, so you're pretty close. The tunnel itself, I'm going to pop under the map to show you. It is pretty much entirely made out of concrete, and as you can see, it is also under the mountain, so you're pretty well fortified in there. You don't need to do a lot to seal yourself off from enemies. This will take a little bit of clearing, but that shouldn't be a problem if you're playing with a few friends. It's a very long tunnel, so you can divide it up into sections and end up making quite an elaborate multi-layered zombie trap base, if that's what makes you happy. The rooms down the side, they're not massive. Hello. But, you know, they could be used for storage or whatever you want. And you do have the other exit/entrance on the northern side. This is quite a fun one, and because it's quite big and long and already pretty well fortified, there's a lot you can do with it. So for those who have a creative mindset, this might be the perfect place for you to take over with your friends. Up next is the Blue Clover Hotel, and as you can see just by looking at it, it's very obvious why this is perfect for those who are playing with friends. It's a hotel that's split up already, so everybody can have their own little room, fit with a balcony. I do feel more like a real estate agent than a video game commentator here, but still. The building itself, it is pretty well intact. I have a lovely pool out here. I say lovely, it's not, but still. You are in, I don't remember the name of this little town, but on Naversgain it's right next to the Minotaur Theatre, alongside a few other locations, including the Savage Country, which is just where that little crosshairs thing is there. This is ideal for those who enjoy building but are quite lazy. You can expand on the building itself, but if you just want to break it up between you and your friends and everybody gets their own little cozy room that you can decorate, it's quite a fun one. You can cause a lot of mischief in here if you're playing alongside friends, and because you are quite close to a few difficult POIs and other areas, you're never going to be too low on loot. And as you can see on the top of the screen, you can see the little marker for Trader Hugh, who is quite literally a stone's throw away. This one I did feature in a previous video. I think this is the perfect place for those who like to stream together to take over. It's a cool challenge because it is in the wasteland biome. You are also opposite a couple of men's clubs, so if that's what tickles you fancy, then, you know, good on you. But this lovely exterior is home to nothing. Look at that. Well, you do have a nice little death thing on the wall. But clearing this out is a breeze. It really doesn't take long at all to do. And then you are left with this empty shell of a building. And if you're playing with even just one friend, this could be a really cool fixer-upper project. I'm not sure how well it would function during late stage hordes because, you know, wasteland and whatnot. But I guess there's only one way to find out, really, isn't there? With a little bit of TLC, you can restore this place to its former glory, or just, you know, do what you want with it, really. I'm not your boss. But it's cool, isn't it? Yes. This is Fire District 3. And as you can see, and hear by its name, it's a firehouse. This is quite a cool looking location. And I might even feature it in an interesting location video at some point. But it's also the perfect size for those who want to play with friends. You have a nice big flat roof. There's nothing going on underground, but that doesn't really matter at this point, does it? Zombies dig, so. But it's quite big on the inside. You've got plenty of space if you want to turn it into a storage, loot room, whatever. On this particular map, you are quite close to a town. Well, you're in a town, which can be good depending on what you like to do. It does have a stone wall around most of the property, so you can build off that and fortify it a little bit more. This towery type thing here I quite like. You can do a lot with this if you want to sort of build off it. Yeah, I don't know what more to say on this one. Also, because it is a firehouse, you have plenty of places to store your lovely vehicles. So even if you just want to use this as a glorified garage, or garage, if you're wrong. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Next up, we've got Coleman's Drive-In. This is a great location for those avid builders who want a nice, clear, flat space to build structures with friends. It does have a couple of existing buildings that you can incorporate into any designs, or destroy if you so choose. It's also a fun one to come and visit and clear out anyway, so I advise doing that. You have a wall around, which is quite nice, that you could build off. You could turn this into one giant property, multiple little properties, a cheese type horde base, whatever goats your float. It's your life. But it is the size of this one, and it's flat land, that makes this a perfect place to build with friends. I wouldn't advise using this one if you're on a real open public server, because then you're opening yourself up to attacks. But if you are just playing on a private one with a couple of friends, this is a great location to come out and test some fun build ideas. This is the Fallen Survivor compound. On top of it being a great storytelling location, it's pretty cool to have as a multiplayer base. The buildings, as you can see, it's split up into two main buildings that connect. You have the walls that go around most of the property, meaning that you can build and expand out into this little parking area. The walls are brick, so that's what, 1200 HP? Would you say HP? Durability? I don't know. But the rooms are quite big, quite varied. You could split this up and everybody gets a couple of rooms. You could have this as a little commons area, which is what it was anyway. This is a cool one if you're playing with more than a couple of friends, because you can have a room each, have common areas, and basically turn this into an actual living quarters. It's also good for those who like to keep in line with the game's overall aesthetic, because you can use this as a very challenging but somewhat viable horde base. You know, if you build off this tower and fortify the walls and close off the rear entries, it's pretty cool. Also, as you can see on this particular pre-gen, it is in the middle of a desert town, or city. Is it city? It's big. A nice big desert area. You're also close to some pretty dangerous POIs, which can be good for looting. And if you do have a handful of friends with you, you could even expand and take over some of the other nearby POIs to grow and restart civilization. Pretty cool, isn't it? This is Echo Commons, and as you can see, it's another pretty well intact building with a nice roof and several, I think these are offices, but you know, apartment buildings, whatever. You can completely take away the interior and give yourself a nice empty shell to build off. There are stairs on both sides, which can be good for funneling zombies. If you want to improve on it, you could build a nice little ramp up here so the zombies can make their way up to the roof, where you've got a nice little base on top. It's one of the smaller entries on this list, but on this particular pre-gen, while it is surrounded by the POIs, it's also surrounded by lots of flat land, which is great for expansion. So yeah, I'd say this is a pretty cool place to take over. It will take a bit of work. I'm sure if there are a few of you, it might be a fun little side project to work on. I did already cover this particular location in another video of mine, but it deserves to be mentioned on this one because look at the size of it. It's got multiple large flat roofs, meaning that if you're playing with friends you can have a little section each. The whole interior of the building, there are very few zombies in here, so it's incredibly easy to clear out. You've also got some good fire points that you could set up here if you want to stay here during Horde nights. You could set up the front door to usher the zombies through. The roof already has a few bits on it, which is quite cool. It does tell a story. It's a little old survivor compound of people who are seemingly no longer with us. As I mentioned in the previous video that covered this entry, I could only find this on the map Pregen 10K4. That's not to say that it's not on any of the other larger Pregen maps, it's just this is where I found it, okay? This is, in my opinion, one of the easiest and probably most beneficial early game multiplayer base locations. It's easy to clear, nice big flat rooftop, easy to control the access in and out of the building, and it looks awesome. So yeah, if you're playing with friends, maybe give Rogue Nerd Refuge a little look through. So I hope you found this video interesting. 7 Days to Die has lots of fantastic places to take over with friends. This just shows off a couple. Some of you may have also noticed I've tried to feature multiple maps and give location coordinates because not everybody plays on the same map. But as I tried to explain at the start of the video, if you are new, just because I give a location coordinate for Navezgane or Pregen 10K whatever, it doesn't mean that that's the only place you can find it. You can also find them on most other maps, depending on your settings and choices. So hopefully that clears it up. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.